The sterile hum of the hospital hallway echoed as Kevin, a successful CEO, paced back and forth. The sharp click of his polished shoes was a rhythmic reminder of his anxiety. His heart, usually steady in the boardroom, now pounded in a way he couldn't control. His son, Ethan, lay unconscious in a sterile hospital room after a tragic car accident. Despite the best efforts of the doctors, no one could say for sure when, or if, Ethan would ever wake up. Kevin hadn't known how to balance the demands of his high-powered career and his duties as a single father. He had always tried to provide Ethan with everything: a roof over his head, the best education, and all the material things a father could give. Yet, deep down, Kevin knew he hadn't been there enough. He had spent years consumed by work, leaving Ethan to navigate life on his own. Now, in the cold, lifeless hospital room, Kevin faced a heartbreaking realization: he was losing his son, and it was too late to fix the mistakes he had made. As the hours ticked by, he clung to hope, praying for a miracle. His mind wandered back to the days when Ethan would come to him with bright eyes, asking for advice on everything from school projects to life itself. He remembered how his son's voice would light up a room, how laughter filled the air when Ethan was around. But now, all that remained was silence. Then, a soft voice broke through his thoughts. "I can wake your son," whispered a young nurse, her presence barely noticeable as she stood by the door. Kevin turned, startled. His exhaustion and grief had blurred his senses, and he hadn't noticed her enter. She was just a young woman, not much older than Ethan himself, with kind eyes and an air of calm certainty that seemed almost out of place in the chaos of the hospital. "Excuse me?" Kevin's voice cracked with a mix of disbelief and desperation. The nurse stepped closer, her gentle smile never wavering. "I've been watching over your son. I know it's hard to believe, but sometimes, it just takes a little something more than medicine. Sometimes, all it takes is someone who believes." Kevin's mind raced. Who was this girl? Was she just another hospital worker offering empty words of comfort? Or was there something more to her strange claim? "I know how it sounds," she continued, sensing Kevin's hesitation. "But trust me, I've seen it before. If you trust me, I can help him find his way back." Kevin didn't know what to say. What was there left to lose? He'd spent the night praying, pleading with a higher power, and now a stranger was offering him a shred of hope. Desperation can make us do strange things, so he nodded. The nurse, whose name was Sarah, placed a hand on Ethan's still chest, her fingers warm but steady. "Ethan, it's time to wake up," she whispered softly, almost as if speaking to a sleeping child, not a comatose young man. Kevin watched, heart in his throat. Could this really work? Would this stranger's words be enough to awaken his son, to bring him back to life? Minutes passed. The room felt like an eternity, the ticking of the clock louder now. Kevin stood frozen, holding his breath, unable to look away from his son's motionless form. Then, slowly, as if responding to Sarah's calm assurance, Ethan's fingers twitched. Kevin gasped, rushing to his son's side. "Ethan," he whispered, his voice a mix of fear and hope. For a long moment, there was no response. But then, slowly, Ethan's eyelids fluttered open. The first thing he saw was his father's face, strained with worry, but filled with an emotion Ethan hadn't seen in a long time: love. His voice was weak, barely a whisper. "Dad? What happened?" Tears streamed down Kevin's face as he gently held Ethan's hand. "You've been in an accident, son. You've been asleep for days." Ethan's brow furrowed in confusion, but Sarah's presence beside him reassured him. She gave Kevin a knowing glance, one that said, "Sometimes, miracles happen when you least expect them." As the nurse quietly left the room, leaving father and son to reconnect, Kevin took a deep breath. He realized something in that moment: he had been given a second chance. A chance to be the father Ethan needed, to make up for all the time he had lost. The road ahead would be difficult, but Kevin knew he could face it now. he wasn't alone. In the days that followed, Ethan's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Doctors were baffled by his rapid progress, but Kevin knew that the miracle wasn't just about Ethan's physical healing, it was about the emotional bond between father and son, a bond that had been fractured but was now being mended, piece by piece. And as Kevin sat by Ethan's side, reflecting on the nurse's words, he understood, sometimes, it only takes one person to believe in you when the world seems dark. Sometimes, all it takes is faith. A belief that even in the most desperate of moments, there's always hope for a new beginning. The real miracle wasn't just Ethan's recovery. It was the realization that love, faith, and second chances could change everything.